I'd say the number one skill to master love in relationships is to remember that in every relationship, there are three relationships. The one you have with yourself, the one your partner has with themselves, and then the one you have with each other.
That's good.
And I think so often we only think about the one we have with each other. We don't realize that so many of the challenges in our relationship are because of our relationship with ourselves and our partner's relationship with themselves. We think, I'm doing everything, but they don't feel better. But that's because they're going through something internally. We think, I'm giving them everything. I'm doing everything they need. I'm here supporting them. But if they've got something going on internally, they can't even receive any of that. And so often we look at it through the lens of it's just me and them. That's just not true. And so you have to remember that there was a you before, there was a you during, and there's a you after every relationship.
Right.
And there's a them before, a them during, and a them after every relationship. And when you accept and understand that, you can actually solve problems easier because now you have three things to look at rather than just one. So you can start to understand, okay, well, is that their internal thing? Is it my thing? Let's check with them. Let's communicate. Let's figure that out.
You just got to really become a master of human dynamics.
Yes,
it's like understanding human dynamics and all that stuff. It's interesting, when I was playing sports, I remember a coach asked us at one point, he said there's always three teams on the field.
Wow.
Your team, the team you're playing against, and then the refs.
Wow.
There's always you're never just playing against the team. You've got to be aware of how the refs are calling the game, how to influence the game in certain ways, how to show up differently. But it's never just you versus someone else or you with someone else. It's always like your interpretation to yourself, their interpretation outside of. There's always so much else going on. But I think, that skill of understanding that there's three relationships in one and navigating those. I really think of that as like just learning how to master emotions. It's like learning how to be the master of your emotions, understand someone else's emotions, and the emotion that you're creating together. Speaking of creating together, you mentioned this a little bit before about conscious love, having agreements, principles, boundaries, and rules, which I think is a great thing. Most people don't have that. They just have assumptions and expectations. That goes more into toxic love.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Ryan Holmes, told me this years ago when he got married. I was like, what has made this like a healthy relationship for you? He was like, we created what did he call it? Like a family vision. We actually sat down and we created like a family crest, like a sign, a symbol of what we wanted to mold together to build our family. Something like they used to do in England like 500 years ago. But it's like, and he said, doing that allowed us to get clear on our principles, what we wanted to really step into, how we wanted to serve each other and our communities, our families, and the world. And I thought that's cool. Is there anything that you have around building kind of like a relationship motto, crest, vision? Is there anything you talk about around that?
Yeah, I talk a lot about how there's three things. You've got liking someone's personality, you've got respecting their values, and then you've got a commitment towards helping them get to their goals. Right? So that's my definition of love. My definition of love is when you like someone's personality, when you respect their values, and you're committed to helping them towards their goals. Which means you have to know what your values are and theirs, and you have to know what your goals are and theirs. And someone asked me the other day, they're about to get married, and they said, Jay, what's your advice? And I said, do you know your partner's top three values? And they struggled.
They're like, I think so. Maybe
and they were
friends
saying,
and family. And,
exactly. Like very broad things.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, what's the hierarchy? Like, what's the order? And then I said, well, do you know your partner's goals for the next 12 months? And they struggled again. They were like, I don't know. Like, they're just settling into a new job. And I was thinking, if you don't know who your partner is and where they're going, then how are you meant to be their partner? And so to me, check-ins about these three things
that's good.
Regularly and consistently give you a full vision of who your partner is and where they're headed.
And that's so good. Liking their personality is what you said first, right? If you don't like someone's personality, you're going to spend 10,000 meals with them. You better enjoy their personality.
Exactly. And that's the study that shows that to make and me and you are great friends because of this, by this definition too, and I've really thought about this. So to make someone a casual friend you should have spent 40 hours with them. 40 hours for a casual friend. If you consider someone a good friend, you have to spend 100 hours with them.
Wow.
And if you consider someone a great friend, you should have spent 200 hours with them. We've definitely spent more than 200 hours together. But that's the question I would ask when you say like their personality. Can you spend 200 present hours together? Not just 200 hours watching TV or the movies, present hours. So that's the like
with
the
no distractions.
With no
If it was just
distraction.
you and the other person. You know, I heard this, I think it was a year ago, about like you're going to spend 10,000 meals with someone if
That's
you're with
nice.
them forever, you know? Can you sit across the table and have 10,000 meals and enjoy the meals, you know, for the most part?
Yeah.
So I love this liking personality, respecting values. I think, you know, with Martha, I got so clear on my values and communicating it effectively. And she asked me early on, I've told you this before, she asked me early on, what are your priorities, Lewis? question. I don't know, maybe a month into dating. You're like, what are your real priorities
so
in
good.
life, right? That like every man fears answering. And I said, ooh, do I step into courage here or do I shy back to keep it comfortable and not stir the boat? And I remember saying, well, I want to be very honest and authentic with you, but I don't know if you're going to like it. And I don't know if you're going to want to hang out in this way anymore.
Yeah.
And she was thinking that I'm going to say something like horrible. And I was like, do you want me to be fully honest? And she looked at me and she said, yes. I said, are you sure? Because I've been honest in the past and people don't like it.
Yeah.
Are you sure? And she said, yes. Took a deep breath. I'm like, okay, I got to have this courage. Because I just know that I thought that she wouldn't like what I was about to say.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, here are my three main values in order in life. Number one is I value my health. And that needs to be like my top priority. Because if I'm sick, I can't do really anything. So I need to take care of health first, and you need to support me in making sure that I use my energy to do that on a consistent basis. You can't pull me away from my health or healthy activities, or make me feel bad for going to the gym or whatever it is. Number one. Number two, priority number two is my purpose, my mission. Like, in the season of life, the mission that I have right now, and that's being all in, focused on that, and not feeling bad about it, not taking time away from it, not being resentful of it, any of those things. That's priority number two. And I was like, no woman wants to hear from their man or potential man that they're not their number one or number two priority. Yeah. And I said, then number three would be my relationship. You know, if we're going to end up dating together, it would be us.
Yeah.
And I said, that doesn't mean you wouldn't be like, I would never have time for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to choose the gym over here. Yeah.
But I need to make sure those first two priorities are set in stone so that I can actually give to you more. So that I can be more present with you, so I can give you fully, abundantly, and we can do all the things you want to do. You're going to feel like number one, but you need to know that number one and two, I have to do these first.
So good.
And you will feel like the most important person in the world.
Yeah.
But if I don't feel healthy, if I'm being pulled away from my purpose and my mission, I'm not going to be good for you.
So good.
And she looked at me, she goes, this is amazing. And she goes,
I can imagine Martha saying
she
that.
goes, that's amazing. I love this. And I go, really? Because I'm thinking like, I've experienced and I've heard other people experience that if you're not making your woman your number one priority, if you don't put me first over everything, then it's like a stressful experience.
Yeah.
And for me, that goes back into toxic love. And it's not about you aren't my top priority. It's prioritizing health and purpose and service, whether you want to call it the same level or just above it, so that you have the energy to be present to your relationship. At least that's for me what I feel like a man needs to be in their relationship. They got to be on purpose, right? And she told me, I love it. Because I've never been with a man who had a purpose. I love that. They always made me their purpose. And after a while, it doesn't feel good. You're like, well, go out and do the thing you want to do in life. Like, I don't care if you want to, serve 2 people a day, but go do something that you're excited about, not just make it about me.
Yep.
And so give me your thoughts on this, this idea, or this philosophy. If you think that's in alignment with your 8 rules of love, or if you think that's I'm crazy and I just got a lucky one who just accepts me for that.
I love it. So it's really interesting you say you did that, because inside my book, 8 Rules of Love, I actually talk about how I gave a client that same exercise. So I asked them to rank their top 3 priorities in order,
Really?
and I was coaching the couple. So the man wrote, you, the kids, me, and she wrote, me, the kids, you. And
It's so funny.
he
man.
was so upset. Like
No.
he was.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go on.
Go ahead.
Go on.
This is funny because I want to unpack this because I went to Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer, and I took my team to do like a full day leadership training, which you got to take your team one day.
So cool.
And he watched,
I'm always scared Caesar's going to give me a dog. That's why I don't go.
I know, right?
I'm so scared.
and he talks about the dynamics, at least in America, of married couples, where if he asked most women what's the priorities in the relationship, it's like mom, kids, dog, then the husband. This is what he says a lot of women say. It's like the husband is last because they get this unconditional love from the dog, but that's after the kids.
Oh my gosh.
And then husband. And he's like, we've got it all backwards.
Yeah.
We need to be, the parents need to be leading the pack together, side by side.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I don't want to.
No, I love that. That's a beautiful point.
Yeah. So you said he had one thing, which was her, the kids, and then himself, and she had herself, the kids, and then the man.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so what happened from that dynamic?
Well,
and what happens when you enter or in a relationship like that?
Well, he was distraught and he was really upset because he was just like, how can I be third on your list? And even more than that, he was actually upset that she put herself first. That's what he was more upset about. He actually wasn't that upset about being third. He was more upset about, how are you first for yourself? How is it not the kids?
Or the kids.
How is it not the kids? And her response was similar to yours, that I want to be present, energized, and my best for you and the kids. I don't want to give my leftovers to you and the kids. And I often say this to people, like if someone is emotionally and energetically dead, how can they keep you alive? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And so what we have to understand is someone's not being selfish by focusing on themselves if they're doing it with a selfless spirit. That's the key.
Yes.
So you may meet a man who's not like Lewis and says, yeah, I'm first for me. I'm first. And they're only doing that because they think they're first. There's no, I'm going to take care of myself so I can be better for you.
Yes.
That's the spirit you're looking for. So you're looking for someone who's selfish with a selfless spirit.
Yes.
Not just someone who's selfish.
Right.
And there's a difference.
True.
And it could sound like the same thing. It could even look like the same thing. You could meet someone who says, I'm dedicated to my purpose, I'm dedicated to who I am, but it's not anything to do with you. And I think that's the difference. People who prioritize self-care in order to serve, that's the self-care we want in our lives. And so that's what I encourage in people, that you should always take care of yourself so you can take care of your partner, so you can take care of your kids. You're not just taking care of yourself like it has to go somewhere.
And being lazy about everything else.
Exactly. Yeah. Toxic love is, it's interesting when you look at the word toxic as well.
Tell me.
So toxic love is when your trauma is the oxygen for your relationship. Right? If you think about the word, like the idea that your trauma is what you're breathing into the relationship.
Gosh,